All right, hope everybody had a good kind of mini first week last week, kind of getting familiar with all your classes. We are going to start on the lecture material this week. So you've got 2 chapters worth of material we're going to go through. That's because we don't have any labs or anything due this week, so we've got a little extra free time. Chapter 1 is called A View of Life, and it's like an introduction chapter. I know that sounds kind of simple, and we don't get into any really detailed concepts in this chapter, but there's so much vocabulary and so many terms that we use one time, like we use to begin with in chapter 1. You're going to see those same terms throughout the rest of the semester. So do not skip this one. Make sure you pay attention, take good notes, and a lot of the stuff that you see in this chapter is going to come up over and over again in the chapters we have later on. Chapter 15 is on Charles Darwin and evolution. I like this one. It's interesting. I know that evolution sometimes is a concept that a lot of people have strong opinions going into it. Like no one has strong opinions about photosynthesis, but like when we talk about this, a lot of people bring their own conceptions or preconceptions into the chapter. But what I found just talking to students is that a lot of students don't understand the concept that well. I don't know if it's because a lot of high schools just don't cover this or what the situation is, but it's really interesting, whatever your thoughts on it. So we're going to watch those 2 lectures. Just a quick heads up, I've got video lectures recorded from several years back. Some of those are really good. They're up to date. There's nothing wrong with them, except they were kind of long. Like some of them were close to maybe 2 hours for a lecture. That's a long time for like a good movie, let alone just watching a chapter lecture video. So what I'm doing, in some cases, I'm going to re-record those and I'll just break them up into smaller pieces. In some of them, I've got an editing tool where I can chop those up. So like a 2-hour lecture, I'm going to chop it into 4 roughly 30-minute sections. So when you pull up these lecture videos, when you see part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, don't let that scare you. That's just, they're short. I'll try to put a description of like how short they are so you'll realize, okay, this is only 20 minutes. That might be easier to fit it in with your schedule. If you come home from a long day at work and you know you can't spend hours on this class, but you do have an hour or 30 minutes, then you can at least watch 1 or 2 parts. All right. So the good news about this being an online class is you've got a lot more freedom to do this work whenever it works for your schedule. Just a heads up though, one of the scary things or one of the downsides is that in a traditional class, like when we meet normally when there's not a pandemic, you've got a day and a time that you are scheduled to meet and you're there every week. All right. In an online class, it's really easy to say, well, I'll just do it later. And then before too long, you've got, 6 hours before the test is due and you haven't looked at the chapters and you feel like you got to cram really quick. So just be real careful about that. Make a schedule, write out, this is my time that I'm going to be working on this class material, and just try to stick to that. All right. Be flexible, but make sure you have a plan and try to stick to it. After you've watched those lecture videos, there is a review quiz that's over in the quizzes tab. So pretty much for the rest of the semester, every week that we have a lecture video, you're going to have a review quiz that's due on that Sunday, the weekend after. All right, so August 30th is when that is due. It's just 5 questions. It's only 5 points, but this is a really good chance to kind of see what types of questions you might see on the exam. I'm not saying these are test questions, but it'll at least give you an idea of like the types of questions you're going to see when you take the real test. Okay. You can use your notes. That's perfectly okay. Now on the test, no, you cannot, absolutely can't. But on these review quizzes, that's fine. Use your notes, use the PowerPoint, use whatever you need to. So lastly, the last thing we've got is any of those assignments I gave you last week. If you didn't do them already, make sure you finish those up because these are due on the 30th as well. So that's the About Me survey, the syllabus quiz, and the diversity project. Those are all going to be due. Okay, so I think that's it. Trying to think. The only other thing I can think of is your first lab assignment is going to be due in week 3. It's actually due September 6th, I believe. That's Sunday, September 6th. I know I've said it so many times, but if you have not gotten your lab kit yet, you've got to do that. You have to get that. If you're ordering online, like if you ordered today, whenever you're watching this early in week 2, it might not get here in time, just because I know it can take a while. So just order it as quick as you can. If there are any issues with shipping, let me know, but you've got to order it as soon as possible. You might want to call the campus bookstore and see. I know at the beginning of the semester they had several in stock where you could like walk in, pay for your lab kit, and then take it home that day. So if you've waited too long, that might be your best option, is just to physically buy it so you can bring it home with you. Just check with them beforehand to make sure that they still have those in stock. Okay, so I think that's it. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a good week.